and welcome to sunny Queensland Raceway for the Tattersalls Sports Car Enduro. This event is more than about speed, it's about endurance. A 1 hour long race with a fast driver change halfway through. Who's up for the challenge? I'm very curious to find out. Ryan, what is the Tattersalls Sports Cars Enduro Series?
It's a series of races for production sports cars based in 3 races, one in Queensland, one in New South Wales and one in Victoria. And it's a 1 hour format where we run for an hour and have a driver change halfway through the race. And Sigel can do it, but they've got to jump out of the car, shut the door, open the door, jump back in again. So it's all for sports cars and based over an hour format.
Well, fortunately, we've got some really top drivers here. People like Wayne Henning and the Turbo Porsche will be out. Things like the Dodge Viper, my good friend Mark Williams, and the car's owner is bringing that out. So yeah, good field.
Well, we've got 4 categories based on power to weight ratio, classes A, B, C, and D. So they've got different power to weight ratios they can run in, which is the same format we run in New South Wales for production sports cars and the Tattersalls series there. And the Class F is for production cars on road tyres.
How does the pit stop work? After a certain amount of laps or time? And how much time do they have to change?
It works from minute 20 to minute 40. The pit window's open for 20 minutes in the middle of the race, and it's up to the drivers to change as quick as possible because it's all race time. So there's no window for them to do the change in. It's as quick as they can do it. So the aim is to try and get the driver change over and done with inside 20 seconds.
Well, the Film Graphics Porsche's here this weekend, but that was almost not the case.
Now, I wouldn't want to think of this as a bad omen, but is it true you broke down on the way here?
Yes, we did. We broke down in Grafton, towing the car up. Our truck broke down, and we were basically all ready to kind of like pack it in. And one of the guys, the NRMA, sort of just had a bit of a ring around to see if they knew anybody who might be interested in like towing us up. And we were sitting back in our hotel room in Grafton, really disappointed, working out what the hell we were going to do. Basically, working out how the hell we were going to get home, you know, and we'd spent a lot of money to try and get here. And all of a sudden I got a phone call from a lovely bloke called Lee, and he said, you know, you don't know me, but blah, 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 you know, I've got some options. I can get you this, I can get you this, I can get you this. We'll tow you up there and we'll have a weekend away with you boys. So thanks to Lee and Jason, that's basically why we're here. We wouldn't have been here. So it sort of goes to show, you know, the country spirit of helping each other out is absolutely fantastic. So realistically, thanks guys, because we wouldn't have been here without you.
And so we're on the racetrack right now at Queensland Raceway for the Tattersalls 1 hour sports car enduro. Wade Ornger and Grant Boyden looking forward to taking you through this very unique event. A very big grid here today. Boydo, as usual, a huge range of vehicles.
Yeah, and the question that needs to be asked straight off the bat, Wayne Hennig in the Porsche 993. Can anyone beat the Noosakat entry at this circuit? He's proven to be very fast in whatever category he races in.
I'd like to see the Viper give him some curry. Mind you, there's a Datsun 2000 Turbo in the field as well. The Porsche 911, as you said, there's a Westfield out there, Mazda MX-5. Well, there's plenty of them. There's the onboard camera. That's just one of 2 that we'll be checking out later on. Brian Anderson is carrying one of our cameras.
Brian Ferraby has the other on board. Let's take a look at the grid.
Yeah, Wayne Hennig will start from pole position. From 2, it'll be Steve Morecambe. From 3, Matt Humphrey. From 4, Chris Hinton. Back to Matt Simpson. Now, Matt Simpson was supposed to start out at position 5, but had all sorts of dramas as we get set to go green here at Queensland Raceway. The Tattersalls 1 hour sports car enduro is underway, Boydo.
Wayne Hennig didn't get off the line all that well. That's a bit of a surprise, but you can see him fighting back down towards turn 1. He's going to sit in 2nd spot. Look at all the MX-5s out there.
Yeah, there's an absolute paddock full of MX-5s here today, but there's some, as usual, when Tattersalls get involved with the production sports car stuff, there's a myriad of different vehicles. Have a look at this Westfield. It is absolutely cranking.
Steve Morecambe doing a great job at the moment, has the race lead. Long sweeping straights here at Queensland Raceway, and he did a great job to fend off the Porsche too.
Now these guys, as we go on board, very aggressively attacking the right-hander here. That's Ferraby as he comes out this right-hander. There is a driver change. The Porsche blows by the Westfield. Well, we probably expected that in a straight line. The Westfield's going to be a real handful for the Porsche, though, in the tight corners here at Queensland Raceway.
Wayne Hennig's done a lot of work on this Noosakat Porsche over quite a long period now. It's proven to be a very reliable car, and Porsches, as always, in these types of endurance race, are probably the best production-based racing car that you could possibly want to own. They're a very good car, very easy to set up in the hands of somebody like Wayne Hennig, a very fast two-way.
Well, of course, Henning very well accustomed to this car. He runs it in the Porsche Cup. He's based in the Sunshine Coast, so we get on board with Ferriby coming onto the main straightaway. Gets himself in a little bit of bother there. Henning's the only man today not doing a driver change. He's driving by himself. We'll tell you a little bit later about the regulations that govern how he does that change. Yes, you've got to get out of the car and all that sort of stuff. Man, that Westfield is quick. It's still leading the Viper at this point. That's Colin Burnable Clay, currently sitting in second spot.
They're not doing a bad job. A Class B car, we should point out 5 classes, Class A through to Class F. Class F being a very much production-based type of road-going car, an entry level.
Viper just ate the Westfield up at the end of the straightaway, which it should do. And let's face it, although the guy driving it, Colin Burnable Clay, is an ex-Qantas pilot, he pretty well got taken off right there. Big run by the Viper.
That's what you were waiting to see, wasn't it? The Viper stretch its legs.
It's a beautiful car. Mind you, everything is unique in its own ways. We have a look back now. This was the start from Anderson's perspective here at Queensland Raceway. Whoa, big run, straight past on the MX-5. Mind you, that looks like nuisance value as Anderson comes back on the outside of Ferriby now and tries to pull off the outside move into one.
Yeah, good tight running by these two cars down into the first turn, and Ferriby with the inside running has the best power down out of that turn.
You just see the onboard camera just above the roll cage here as we come back to the immaculate Dodge Viper number 27. Yeah, boy, as we were saying, A, B, C, D and F classes racing here today. F being more of the entrance group style event. The A class is certainly like the man in front who's leading in Hennig, the Porsche.
It'll be good to watch this Dodge Viper because a very, very quick machines, but they suffer from brakes, is the duration of this race. In this car, think about it, Wade, they can't come into pit lane for that pit stop until after the of this race. That's a long way and a lot of pressure on your brake pads.
Absolutely. If it's the moment over the Viper, back down to the Westfield, we see that the film graphics Porsche starting to make the background there too. Matt Humphrey, what a story, eh? The transporter breaks down out near Grafton. Two guys basically helped get the thing to the racetrack. They're now the pit crew for the day. How cool's that?
But haven't they? But having a great deal of fun down in pit lane too. Being involved in a race team, and glad we could see it here at the racetrack this weekend and not sitting by the side of the highway.
Enduro, a bunch of MX-5s joined together here, right up the inside. 30 car having a really good go. That's Jake Camilleri and Doug Chappell, that combination, taking on the two car Donnie Lake and Ash Lowe. And Lowe, in fact, it may be Lake, back up the inside.
Yeah, Lake got a great run out of that third turn and put the power down nicely and picks up another spot out on the circuit. But for how much longer, that's the question.
Well, Jake Camilleri is part of the Camilleri family that owns Grand Prix Mazda at Aspley and Caboolture. We see the big squeeze job coming on here. That fair bump play on. They drive pretty smoothly out of the turn.
Well, over a 1 hour enduro, you can paddles, but you want to make it as tough as you possibly can for your opposition. And that's exactly what...
Chappell, who is the co-driver of Jake Camilleri today, is the club champion from last year. So they'll be class. Man, isn't Anderson really putting it to Ferriby at the moment as they head down this way? Who's going to prosper under brakes?
Well, it's a graphic description of how bumpy it is out, particularly here in the braking area. You've got to get on the brakes nice and early and make sure that you pick up the apex. You can see the old crisscross. That was a very, very good run by Anderson. Now, has he got enough mumbo to get up into the next spot before this turn? Certainly does, and late under brakes, but has he left it too late?
Well, I think he did a very nice job. The S2 Intelligence 22C, very nice pass. Manages to get away from Ferriby now. Back to this letter short straight away, coming up to a very tight right-hander, a 180-degree turn that brings him back onto the main straight here. The Tattersalls production sports car enduro, and our advantage, as said, what's interesting for Hennig is he actually has to undo the belts, get out of the car, door, open the door back up, get in, put the belts on and go racing. That's classified as a drive change. He's the only guy ambitious enough to try and do that himself today.
This is an interesting little dice between these two. Ferriby was able to close up under brakes. Anderson just had a little bit of a brake lock up in the final turn coming onto the start-finish straight.
They're pushing hard, boy.
Look how they slide across the circuit. You must maintain that quarter speed in order to have the best possible run down the back straight. Well, I tell you what, he's staying with Anderson. This is a surprise.
Bear in mind, this isn't our event. As you said, they're doing it like it's a 6-lap carve up here. Here comes Anderson. In fact, no, it's Ferriby back on the ins, just to the left. I think Ferriby's got him under brakes here.
This is great. A race with an...
It's very good. Oh, is he going to run wide here? Anderson will have a look back, trying to go for the gear. Can he get the run? Oh, I think Ferriby might have missed a gear coming out. He's found a box full of second, and as a result, Anderson's driven away. Hey, look at the Westfield taking it up to the Viper here. This is very good stuff. Bernaville Clay taking it right up to the Viper of Hinton.
Well, we saw the Viper earlier on go screaming past the Westfield. Now he's having his own bit of fun. And it's under braking. You can see he's able to close up the gap a little bit. Don't forget, he's also got a Porsche sitting right behind him as well that he needs to consider. If he wants to have a go at the Viper, he has to do it nice and cleanly.
Once again, you see the long legs of the Viper stretching out. Wow, look at the ground that opens up. Here comes the Porsche now. The film graphics entry, the ex-Peter Fitzgerald car, boy, to the Tommy.
Yeah, won at Bathurst, and he left the door right open there in the Westfield. And a really big look up the inside on the Porsche.
It comes off the corner so quickly. That's really the best part about this Westfield, the way it accelerates off the turns. Gee, I tell you what, the film graphics team have arrived on the scene very quickly indeed. The Westfield is all over the Viper. Here's a slow motion replay now of the Porsche up the inside. That's how close he got to trying to pull off the manoeuvre. Gee, you'd feel awfully exposed if you were driving the Westfield, wouldn't you?
Well, Humphrey did a great job. He got on the brakes right at the right time, wasn't going to run wide, but the Westfield just a little lighter, able to scoot around the corner.
Here's a look now. You can see the Viper waving him through, so perhaps this might indicate a driver change. He headed to the pit area or something, but he certainly waved the Westfield through just then. We'll see what the Viper does coming off this main straightaway, or does he want to get another crack at him on the straight?
Might have just been sick of watching him dart around in the rear vision mirror, but down the straight, the Viper wants to have a go back. Well, this is turning out to be quite interesting between these two.
And you're in an open cockpit in that Westfield, the breeze in your hair, and you've got a Viper climbing all over you. Yeah, that's fun.
No argument for me. Here's the replay of how Bernaville Clay got past the Viper. The Viper pulling to the left-hand side of the circuit. You can see there the hand out the window saying, go down the inside. Don't know what that's all about, because you can see him fighting back down the start-finish straight. And the Westfield, Bernaville Clay doing it nice and clean.
Yeah, the Mark Gallagher engine-powered Westfield. We go back on board now. This is the continuing battle we saw between Anderson and Ferriby. There is Anderson, and Ferriby goes blowing by. Anderson must have a problem. Ferriby left him like he was tied to a tree just then. Here is the Viper once more. You're watching the Tattersalls 1 hour sports car enduro, and I tell you, this Porsche, the Viper is off the circuit and big time. So he gathered it back up, Hinton, but that could have been ugly, and now the Porsche guys licking their lips, Boydo.
Well, that was a big moment for Chris Hinton. I wonder if the car's starting to feel the pressure of this long race at the moment. Still a long way to go, though. If you can't keep it on the circuit at this stage, I'd hate to be in the car at the 55th minute.
Here comes the Porsche right now. We're getting close towards that first driver change window. We'll see when they start to come in and how they'll do those changes. The only guy that won't really affect is Hennig. I wonder how his fitness will stand up to 1 hour, basically a punishing session in the Queensland sun here. Oh, someone just off the side, one of the MX-5s by the look of it. A huge field in Class C and F. Big push there for the Viper.
Suffering understeer galore. Here's a replay of the car dancing all over the circuit. The Viper comes down through the turn. You can see just unsettled, perhaps on a bump, and understeers all the way through the turn. And a good job to keep that car out on the circuit by Chris Hinton.
Well, he never lifted, did he? We're in the pits now. There's trouble for Anderson. That's not good. It's all started to heat up here in the pits. We'll be back with the Tattersalls 1 hour sports car enduro later in the program. We'll return to Queensland and continue our coverage of the Tattersalls Enduro later on. Now it's off to Malala in South Australia for the first race of the 2004 Formula 4000 Raceway to resume the Tattersalls Sports Car Enduro.
The Tattersalls 1 hour sports car enduro at Queensland Raceway, and you can see Matt Humphrey doing a great job staying with the Viper. The Viper has more legs down the straight, but this Porsche, it's not lacking in the high-end horsepower, is it at all?
Humphrey under brakes, big pass, man, he just lined that up. The Viper will try to come back, but what we know about the Viper is it doesn't come off the corners real well, and that film graphics Porsche may well open up a buffer. Humphrey has done very well. Wait till the co-driver gets in. It's Simon Kane, the ex-Australian Formula 3000 champ. So this team here, look how hard Humphrey pushes into the corner. They're going to be tough to beat, although Henning is a disappearing figure in the distance.
I said the Humphrey car was pretty good in the horsepower stakes down the straight, but it's not too bad under brakes too. That was a late braking manoeuvre. He managed to get round the Viper very cleanly. And now, let's see if he can pull away. That will be the question.
Just saw him signal to the pits as he went past there too. Just a quick wave to the pits, maybe acknowledging good job or something like that. Here's the pass. I hate to say it, but here's Humphrey straight up the inside.
And very, very cleanly, as you can see, it was a very late lunge. Still picks up the apex, so very clean. Just runs a little bit wide on the exit of the turn.
Hinton had to have a go.
Oh, he's had problems now, Wade.
He's had a touch of the Vipers. He got a big push. Well, he was pushing extremely hard under brakes, and I think he's trying to break the Vipers back here, Bordeaux. So he's really got to go for every opportunity he can. And let's face it, it's already a better day than it looked earlier when they were stuck just outside Grafton when the transporter broke down. So it's looking better and better as they start to get a bit more of a gap on that Viper. Hinton pushing hard, though.
Well, I think Humphrey needs to push hard for a couple of laps and see if he can get the Viper away from him so that he can start concentrating on race lines, looking after the tyres, looking after the brakes, and getting this car to the finish line in a respectable position. Straight into the pits he comes.
I thought that's what the signal might have been about. The Viper goes by on its Pat Malone down the main straightaway, and it's very busy in the pits. There is the Datsun Fairlady, the turbo of Jerry Gelch. Jamie Lyons climbing in. Now you can see here the 11 car that Simon Kane about to close in and jump in the Film Graphics Porsche. They've got some work to do. I'm looking forward to seeing Kane pedal this Porsche. It's going to be big time, I'm sure. It's very busy in the pits, Bordeaux.
And this is a great challenge for drivers that don't usually get the chance to do pit stops. As you can see, it's probably not as slick as the top running teams in the country, but still very, very quick driver changes. Look at Matt Humphrey. He's really worked throughout that race.
Oh, a little bit of a hesitation there for the Fairlady coming out. Let's go to Matt Humphrey. If he's caught his breath, find out how he's going so far.
Matt, how was that out there?
It was awesome. It was great fun. Yeah, I was pretty pleased. I thought the Viper would leave us for dead. Big thing that it is, but managed to get past him.
So it's all starting to happen right now in the Tattersalls 1 hour sports car enduro. Here is your leader, the Noosa Cat entry, the driver out of the Sunshine Coast. Very, very handy in this car. Runs it in the Porsche Cup, and he is currently your leader from the Westfield, not too far behind. And Henning coming in, I suppose. No real surprises there, Bordeaux.
No, but this is going to be an interesting pit stop. Don't forget, he doesn't have a co-driver. That means he needs to unbuckle himself, get out of the car, jump down, turn around, pick a bale of cotton, get back in, and get back out onto the circuit.
Put your right leg in, put your right leg out. Out he gets right now, so they have to close the door as well. He's taking the belts off. It all looks pretty casual. Mind you, it should be. He's already going to have the belt set for himself. The wiper's going. That's good to see that works. Team making a few quick changes, just checking tyre pressures and the like. It all looks pretty orderly.
Yeah, important to do. Check the tyre pressures. Make sure they're equal all around the car so you don't get excess wear and you get the best performance out of that set of tyres.
Right at the moment, you're watching the, was race leader. It now hands the lead to the Westfield, I think, over the Viper at this point. So Colin Bernaville-Clay, currently your leader in that immaculate little Westfield that's out there, currently leading. Now, he's in Class B. They're leading outright.
Interesting to note, Wade, just looking at the time of that pit stop, it was twice as long as the Humphrey Kane pit stop. So there's no advantage in being a one-driver car.
Here comes Colin Bernaville-Clay on approach. You're clear on runway 19er as he comes in, the ex-Qantas pilot, into the pit area to swap over and hand Steve Morecambe the reins. Let's go to the Henning team in the pits and find out if it's an advantage or not to have no co-driver.
The fact that it's here and everybody else seems to be changing over, does that give him a disadvantage at all?
Not really. It should be an advantage because he should be in the groove and he seems to be doing it reasonably easy. And the fuel was a big issue, so hopefully we can make it to the end.
Yeah, Wade, that's a really good point. You don't have to get into the car and work out where your braking markers are. You know the setup of the car. Dial in time, you can get straight out into the circuit and do the Noosa Cat car is doing right now. Get on the pace.
Yes, provided you've got fresh legs and you're able to sort of go the full distance. In comes the Viper. So Hinton, who's done an admirable job. He's had a couple of offs. Here's your leader, though, Simon Kane, in the film graphics Porsche pulling out. Blowing by another one of the competitors out there is the Viper, completing its pit duties now, coming in for driver change.
Yeah, Mark Williams will step into that car. And that prepares that vehicle and keeps it in such top shape. He's about to see what it's like around the Queensland circuit in the sunshine over the 1 hour Tattersalls Enduro.
Well, a pretty smooth changeover for Williams now in behind the wheel, so they're going to rejoin. You'd have to think about top 5. Some more changes, this time the 25 car coming in. That's Henry Van Roden and Freddie Douglas making the change. It's all happening here at Queensland Raceway.
Chris, how was it out there?
Extremely hot, tough. The Porsches are really fast. That Clubman, very, very fast. We don't have the brakes. I mean, we just got to let them go in the end and see how we finish up. We'll push them right to the end anyway.
How's the car feeling?
Feels very good, a lot better than earlier on today. Brake pedal's okay at the moment, goes away. You get off the brakes a bit, it'll come back. But no, Mark's got a good car, he'll do really well.
More from Queensland Raceway shortly. Another Tattersalls Sports Car Series running in New South Wales recently held their second round of competition at Eastern Creek. Let's take a look back at some of the highlights.
Round 2 of the Tattersalls production sports cars at Eastern Creek featured some tough cars, but William Adams had more work to do than others after missing Saturday's race.
Pole position yesterday in qualifying, but you can't believe this. I actually didn't go in the first race. I went and watched my son play rugby. So I'm starting from the back of the field in race 2 this morning.
Both Adams and Ian Pretty were playing down their chances.
Yesterday it went very well. I was very happy. I think the weak link is me. I'm probably getting a bit old, but I'll keep at it. And I just love it.
I think if you're talented and young, you can get straight back into it. But I'm neither, so it takes a long time to get back into it. Half the season.
The start of race 1 saw Anthony Skinner jump early, but William Adams got the fright of his life.
Green, and the Cobra got left on the line, Jeff Evans.
Yeah, it did. Austin Powers hasn't taken his vitamins this time.
Oh, look out! We're on board with William Adams. We nearly joined a Cobra with a Porsche then. A rap on the knuckles, I think, for Skinner is what maybe the black flag might mean. So, oh, how close was Adams then to the back of the Porsche. Now, look at this. This is so close. He looks up and goes, I got a good break here. Whoa! Look out. He might be old, but he's got some reflexes.
Simon Kane struck problems, but it wasn't long before Pretty took second place in the Cobra.
This is what always happens. The Cobra in a straight line is untouchable.
William Adams continued his car through the field.
They're closing in. Here comes the Cobra. Right behind. Oh, look at this. This will be an easy run up the inside here.
James Parrish learned a tough lesson about dropping wheels in the dirt.
The 37 car, the Rickshaw Racing entry of James Parrish in Class C is gone off the circuit. Oh, keep it off the concrete. Oh, no. He drilled the concrete. I thought he had it for a second, Jeff.
While Skinner finally took his drive-through, handing the lead to Ian Pretty.
The BizTech entry, the Porsche is going to cross the line for the stop-go, I would assume, for that penalty, and that will hand the lead, well, in the race at the moment.
Your favourite car?
Absolutely. Oh, well, yes, you're not supposed to say you have your favourites, but that is a really fat-looking Cobra, I got to tell you. Though, I do love the dash on William Adams' car.
Comer Phil Griffin tried a wide line through turn 2.
Oh, look out off the circuit. Big trouble in the Lotus.
Yeah, that actually another new player, Phil Griffin, in the track time Lotus.
But no one could stop Pretty taking the win in race 1.
And it's a Cobra 1-2 across the line. Well done to that man, Ian Pretty. But how about the drive from the Cobra right behind him, the Robnell Cobra of William Adams? Man, he's very close in the end. Immaculate car, Class A honours will go to that man there, Ian Pretty, after unfortunately the trouble for that man right there, who had a stop-go penalty. So that'll see Pretty getting the win over Adams. Skinner gets back to 3rd overall in class, back to Burton, Scarf, McClintock and Jansen. So a very entertaining race 1 here of the weekend at Eastern Creek Raceway.
In race 2, it was Laurie Burton's time to jump the start.
Time you let the front of the field have its head. Oh, Laurie! Goodness gracious me, that's a huge jump.
Hey.
caught with your hand in the cookie jar, you might as well grab them and run.
Well, it's only cheating if you get caught, but dead set. The officials would have been having to look the other way not to see that.
It wasn't long before Adams used the power of the Cobra.
Good little scrap right here. Look at this. This is the variety you get in production sports car racing. The Porsche up the inside. Oh, in a straight line. The Cobra versus the Porsche. Calm the V8. And look at that. It did the job.
Jackie Yick continued his good form in race 2.
He loves this run up the inside into turn 1. And he's got it again. Very nice entry into the turn. Looks like he's got by.
With laps winding down, Skinner made an attempt to pass for the lead.
Here's where he's got to try and make it happen. As he comes up the inside, Adams moves over to low, no room at all. That could have been nuts. Holy cow. He saw him, he moved across. William cramped him a little bit, as he has the right to do, I guess, but you can see then the Skinner thought, man, I'm not going to wash off enough speed if you take that line away. Here's the Tattersalls replay.
Yeah, he committed to that line and nowhere to go.
And he could have driven right through the door then. Good job by Skinner to wash off the speed. That could have been a really nasty incident. Last race of the day. Not a fun way to take home your vehicle.
Jansen and Scarf battled hard for the minor placings.
And there's Emil, 2 old stages, Emil and Rick Scarf, both long-time Porsche competitors.
But in the end, no one could catch the horsepower of William Adams and the Cobra.
Still looking good as Skinner. This is the problem though. Here they come to the main straightaway. He gets a great run off the corner. It's Porsche up against Cobra. William flat-foots it. And in the end, will hold on. The Cobra holds on over Skinner. Ian Preddy will end up with 3rd in Class A. That was a fantastic battle. Taking the win in Class B will be Emil Jansen. Well done to Emil. Class C will go to James Parrish. A big comeback after that first run. And Luciano Yetzi gets Class D. Let's turn our attention to the points. And you can see at the moment, tied for the lead, Burton and Yick in Class B and Class C respectively. Justin Levis back to Skinner, Adams, Pretty, Jansen, Marshall and Yetzi. It's good stuff. Still to come, F3 and production cars from Sandown. Now it's time to wrap up the Tattersalls Sports Car Enduro.
The Tattersalls production sports car 1 hour enduro at Queensland Raceway, looking at the battle for and 4th. The Viper looks like it might be in a bit of trouble at the moment. Steve Morecambe right on the tail of this monstrous machine from the US.
Good racing, isn't it? He comes to Westfield under brakes, pulls up and makes a nice clean pass on the Viper. So that's big stuff. He's up. But let me tell you, he's got a lot of work to do. There's a couple of Porsches, a couple of errant Porsches that are causing huge problems. Yeah, that would be Henning and Kane in particular.
Slipstreaming down. The front straight didn't help the Viper, and more problems for the Anderson Bruce McCabe car.
It's not been a good day at the office for them, has it? They've been to the pitch twice now. Let's catch up with Brian himself and find out what is the geo.
Brian, what's been happening?
Well, the first thing was we threw a fan belt and the engine started overheating, but I got it back to the pits. We put a new fan belt in and went out, and they just meatballed us because we had fuel coming out of the back of the car. We just started transferring fuel from one tank to another, and fuel started coming out. So they put out the orange dot flag for us to come in. We've pumped enough fuel out of there that now let us go out and continue pumping and keep running.
Well, a bit of disappointment there for that team. No disappointment for Steve Morecambe at the moment. He's starting to pull away from the Viper, but look at the Viper down the back straight. Well, as soon as you say it, the table turns completely. The Dodge Viper trying to find a way past back up into 3rd.
Yeah, but under anchors, it's a reality check, isn't it? Because the Westfield just cruises so much deeper into the corner and leaves the Viper. Trouble here for the 5 car on the infield already is Jerry Gelch and Jamie Lyon. So that's the Fairlady. A really interesting machine there. They reckon it's got more coats of paint on it than the Batmobile. It is immaculately presented. Here's a look back now at an incident right now as they come off this turn. Whoa, right out in the sticks is the MX-5. That is not a place that you want to venture at Queensland Raceway. One of the fastest parts on the course. The 770 of Bruce Forsyth and Scott Darlow.
Yeah, very difficult and trying conditions when that happens. You've got to get out of the gas, but you don't want to have any fast steering wheel movements or you can find yourself in the tyre wall. That was a good job to get the car back out onto the circuit.
Here's Simon Kane doing an excellent job in the film graphics Porsche. Heading back down towards the last couple of corners of this lap, and there is Hennig starting to close in. Big lock up from Van Wiegen. Almost puts it in the sand. That was a good save indeed. The driver of BMW back in 2002, Van Wiegen, a good save.
Well, Simon Kane Wade is still showing them a clean set of hills, continuing to put in good, clean laps and keeping the car well under control.
Here's another look back at the number 6 car getting it all wrong, coming into the right-hander, but very much a good save. Almost put it into the dirt. Let's catch up with Simon Kane. Natalie Murray spoke to him earlier in the day about his career.
About 10 years ago, I used to race open wheelers, Formula Holden, and I was lucky enough to win the Australian Drivers' Championship back then. I kind of went to Europe and raced Formula 3000 for a while, and that didn't go too well. So I came back with empty pockets and decided to go into retirement. But Matt convinced me to come out to the race.
It wasn't hard to convince him. It wasn't hard to convince him. He came out to the track and jumped in the car, and all of a sudden he's doing 5 seconds faster than me. I thought, well, you know, the car's a great car. It's set up really well by Michael Newton. And the car does really well, and I also think Michael Newton gets a kick out of seeing the car sort of reach its full potential. So talking about the strategy, I mean, basically I get in the car, do my 20 minutes, get the hell out of there, let Simon get in there and get on with it, really.
Dramas here for the Chris Stannard Zoe Shack Lady Porsche 968 in Class D.
We had some electrical problems with the fuel pump, so the car sort of just, suddenly I got all this surge and there's nothing happening, and I managed to get it off into the pit runoff, and it sort of just died just before I got off the track, which was a shame, but they pushed me off and they've fixed it up now, but we're going to be last, more or less.
Well, this is a good little battle starting to heat up here, Grant Boyden. It's the Porsches going at it. Kane narrowly ahead of Hennig. Here comes Hennig.
And it's getting very, very narrow between the two. Let's see what Wayne Hennig can do. Looks like he's got a beautiful run out of the first turn. Gets up the inside, is through. If he can just hold it tight on the exit of the turn, and it doesn't look like it's going to be a competition.
Yeah, minor little brake lock up there for Hennig as he came into the right-hander, but he made it very businesslike, didn't he? Now Kane has got to think about how am I going to make up any ground here as we get towards the dying stages of the Tattersalls 1-hour sports car enduro. Here's a look back at the replay, Boydo. It's a sweet pass.
Yeah, nice and clean up the inside, and right about now Wayne Hennig could be on the radio to the crew saying how much longer to go in this one. He's worked hard and he's picked up the race lead again.
Kane, I think, gave him plenty of room there. No point trying to be a hero. The obvious speed of the Noosa Cattery. Now coming up to put a lap down on the Viper. So that's something we didn't expect to see.
Oh, and a bit of smoke, Wade, coming from the back of the Viper too. That has to be a problem.
Yeah, Mark Williams, you can see the smoke starting to grow there even further. Well, this is an ambitious pass on the outside. Hennig backing himself and, wow, powering into that left-hander.
The interesting thing is if that's oil coming from the back of the Viper, is that going to cause some grief to other cars behind him?
I wouldn't want to be in an MX-5 with the razor blades on going through an oil patch, that's for sure. It's a good little battle forming right here. As you see now, the Noosa Cattery really starting to stretch. Here's Brian Anderson chasing down Ash Lowe. Ash Lowe's teammate is Don Lake. Don was one of the organisers of this event. Natalie Murray spoke to him earlier in the day about organising this great race.
Don, how did you end up in the Tattersalls Enduro Series?
We got a contact from Brian Anderson in Sydney looking to try and run a 3-race series, and basically contacted all the Queenslanders looking for the MX-5 drivers because he knew that that's where the field was going to be interesting, and we took up the challenge and said, you bring your cars up, we'll kick your backside for you.
Well, time ticking away in the Tattersalls 1-hour enduro at Queensland Raceway. The smoke continues to bellow from the back of the Dodge Viper.
Let's hope that's not causing any real concern, and it is. Just as we said that, what comes out?
The black flag. Now that is a tough call for the race officials to make. We're approaching the end of this race. There is oil definitely coming out of the car onto the circuit, and you can see at certain parts of the track it's noticeably worse, but they had to call the car in.
4 minutes left or something like that, so they're absolutely, that's a heartbreaking decision, isn't it, really? You see them there. This is Ferraby's view of it all. He's trying to get well and truly out of the way of the smoke and the oil. It's definitely a problem. What makes it even more difficult is how close they were to the finish. So the Viper will more than likely come in. You would think he'll obey the orders. There is a right hand out the window. That indicates he goes straight in. What a heartbreaking result for the Viper team. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the Noosa Cattery of Wayne Hennig, the only driver not with a co-driver here today, has proven that you can do it on your own.
There's the Viper in pit lane, and unfortunately for him, he was running up on a podium spot for Class A, now finds himself in pit lane. The crew just seeing if they can do anything to get him back out onto the track to continue this one. But who can stop this man? The Noosa Cat entry of Wayne Hennig, as you said, raced in the Porsche Drivers' Challenge for the last 2 seasons, and he's extremely strong in that class as well.
Oh man, you can see that. I think that was actually the co-driver there, Hinton, waving him on, saying, no, just get out in the track and just finish it. But you can see, even just see there stationary, it was making a lot of smoke. Hennig doing the job in Class A and looking for the overall victory. Of course, this whole power to weight ratio concept that has made the Tattersalls Production Sports Car Challenge so important. It is the checkers out now for Hennig taking the win in Class A.
He has bolted away, comes down across the line. He will pick up the win. The only driver out there to elect not to have a co-driver, and it's paid dividends for him.
Here's the Class B victors right here. Simon Kane steering home the Porsche. Very nice job for those guys. Second overall, you would think, and taking the win in Class A. Humphrey and Kane. They go back to Class C. And across the line now will be Ferriby, who's done a very consistent job, while Anderson had dramas. Boydo, Ferriby just powered on.
Yeah, the Ferriby Baron car looked very strong out onto the circuit. As we watch
Class B now, here's the Westfield entry, Boydo, Morecambe and Bernaville Clay. The Westfield was a stout little race car today.
Yeah, it's a good little car and must be a lot of fun to drive that vehicle around this circuit. You can see arms in the air, he's happy. Checkered flag continues to wave.
Yes, Class D honours, although they don't quite finish with enough points to get the result. Stannard and Shack Lady in the Porsche 968. And taking the win in Class F, Don Lake and Ash Lowe there in the red MX-5. So there are your winners and grinners for the Tattersalls 1 hour sports car enduro here at Queensland Raceway. What an event it was. Well done, that man.
Oh, well, we had to sort of pace ourselves to make sure we'd get through with the fuel was the problem. So we tried to get a bit of an early break and it took a little bit longer to get in and out of the car than what we should have, and then had to make it up again to run down the RS Porsche and the Viper.
It was fantastic. The guys in the pits did a fantastic job. We came into the pits in 3rd place and went out 2nd, and that's the way it pretty much stayed there for a while. So we made up about 10 seconds in the pits, which was fantastic.
Thanks to these boys and a great drive by Simon.
Will we see you guys at the next round?
Yeah, we'll be going to Eastern Creek, and I hope the guys from Grafton will be going to Eastern Creek as well. We see our good luck charm from now on.
Guys, you think you'll go down there, or?
Yeah, there's a fair chance that we will.
Brian, great racing today. Congratulations. How was it?
Hey, thank you very much. It's just wonderful. It's really great. We won our class, like I said we'd do. But it's a pity that Brian Anderson had to go out, and we would have loved to have tussled with him as we did in the drivers' race. But hey, we won. We're delighted.
Stay with us on Speed Week, because when we return, it's Pro Car time at Sandown.
And it's only going to shake out as the race goes on. Michael Schumacher has realised what a race he's in. I think he was held up in the first stint by Jarno Trulli. It was critically important that he got past him in the pit stops. He's managed that. That's against Barrichello, really, as we see a replay of the Montoya move. So Barrichello would really have hoped that Michael might have popped out behind Trulli. That hasn't happened, and now Barrichello's got to do it all himself.
Yep, Ruben's putting in some good lap times too, and clearly has not stopped. And if he can get it into a full 2-stop, and now we do fully believe and understand this statement, I am happy with my grid position and my lap time. He knows he's got a fast package underneath. We know the Bridgestones are hanging on well during the long runs, and Schumacher's having to really pump some sector times in no longer to beat Jarno Trulli. I noticed Michael's the last 2 seconds into the pit smashed everybody else, and his first 2 out of his pit stop, and that's why he ended up ahead of the Renault. Now he's suddenly realised he's got to fight Ruben. Well, I say suddenly, he would have known all the details before the race started. I think he was just patient. I don't think Trulli really held him up because he wasn't that close to him, but he was just patient in those first few laps, and that's confidence for you. Coulthard must have had a problem in his pit stop. He has fallen behind Ralf Schumacher, Hannes and Raikkonen. He's 13th, and Button is 14th at the moment, having also stopped once. So the Brits not having a good day at all. Just looking who's not stopped. Barrichello, Fisichella has not stopped yet. Massa, Klein, and the rest of them have all stopped. So it'll shuffle around a bit yet.
Well, we're hearing from our F1 ITV pit crew that there was a problem with the fuel hose on David Coulthard's car in the pit stop. Barrichello leading then on lap 16. The margin 10.57. He's pegged it a little bit to Michael Schumacher. That last lap, he was 0.2 faster than his team leader. The lap before, Schumacher was 0.6 faster than Barrichello. Trulli is third. Fisichella, who has yet to stop in the Sauber, is in fourth place. Sato is fifth. Sixth is Alonso. Seventh is Montoya. And eighth and last of the points-paying positions at the moment, Felipe Massa, who is doing a similar, two Saubers doing a similar strategy to that of Rubens Barrichello.
Jensen back off screen is a few tenths behind Coulthard down the pit straight. Remember here last year, they tripped over